back to World of Tanks. Today, we are going to be reviewing the American Tier 5 Heavy, the T1 Heavy. This is the first heavy tank that you will find in the American heavy tank line. And it's a pretty good line of heavy tanks. All kinds of heavy tanks have certain jobs depending on their nation. And you may have noticed that American tanks, especially the heavy tanks, are really hold down kind of tanks. Like, for instance, the Russians are more of a brawling kind of heavy. The German heavies are more of snipers. And Britain heavies are similar to American heavies, and I think Japanese heavies are similar. Well, Japanese heavies are they're not necessarily hold down, but yeah, they're more of a brawler, I guess you could say. You probably know what hold down means, but for those of you who don't, you get to learn a new World of Tanks term today. So, to get what hold down means, I will have to show you first the stats of this tank. So, when you get this thing stock, it's got 730 hit points. That's okay. Now, the armor, this is where the hold down thing comes in. It's got 83 at the front, 44 at the sides, 41 at the rear. So, strongest armor is in the front. It has more frontal armor than the KV-1. Here's the problem, though. The sides are pretty easy to penetrate, and the back is really easy to penetrate. And only that, the front is also riddled with weak spots. It is well sloped at the upper glacis and the middle. This isn't particularly well sloped, but it's thick, and at the same time it's also got weak spots. So the armor itself is pretty good, but it's got weak spots, so it's tricky because the front of your tank is the strongest, but it's also got its own weak spots. So, because your back and your sides are the weakest armor on this tank, this is where the term hold down comes in. Most American heavies, because they have good frontal armor and okay sides and usually crappy rears, you want all your cover. You want cover to the side of your tank and only usually expose your turret or maybe a little of the front of your tank when you're battling other tanks, and this is why. Let's look at the turret armor. Now, the stock turret has 102 at the front, 83 at the sides, and 83 at the rear. So the sides and rear of the stock turret have as much armor as the front of the tank, and the front of the turret has even more armor. And that's why you want cover in between the hull of your tank and an enemy, because you only want to show them your turret, especially the front of your turret, because that's where your thickest armor in the whole tank is. And that way, it's a small target to shoot at, and it's also the thickest part of the tank. Here's the problem, though. This particular turret has a massive mini turret on top of it, which is an easy to hit weak spot because it's not very wide, but it's tall. It's also got a little machine gun on the back, which is also a weak spot, so the stock turret isn't the best turret. Here's where it gets interesting, though. The next turret stays the same. It does defract the traverse speed and a few other things, but it looks better. There's no machine gun port in the back, I don't think. I think that might be a weak spot, but I could be wrong. There's still a hatch up here, but if you look back here, it's a very small target, as well as the periscope, so It's a much better turret. Let's look at the rest of the tank really quick. So, it's 58.5 tons. The stock engine has 700 horsepower. Its speed limit is 35. Traverse speed is 20 degrees. Turret traverse speed is 30. The speed's alright. It's actually pretty good for a heavy. Turret traverse speed is pretty good as well. 30 degrees per second, that's pretty good. Traverse speed is iffy. I mean, it's a pretty good traverse speed for a heavy, but it's still kind of slow. Now, you'd probably think because you have weak spots in the front that you want to angle this tank. Yes and no is the answer to that. You do want to angle it sometimes, but very little. Because your side armor isn't very thick, and angling it isn't going to increase it too much. So, you just want to angle a little bit about that much. No, not that much. About that much is as far as you can get for it to angle effectively. Go like this, it's too far. It invites shots into your side and they're not going to bounce. If you're trying to kill one of these things, you want to flank it because side armor is crap. Back armor is crap. Side armor is crap. The back of the turret's okay, but it's weaker than the front. The front of this thing, if you're attacking it from the front, don't shoot the turret unless you can penetrate it. Shoot the front, because although it does have good armor, it's got weak spots, and so this is where you want to aim for the front. The tracks aren't very well protected either, so you could shoot those. The gun you start off with is the 3-inch M7. It's more of a medium tank gun. It's not really good for this tank. It's really not a good gun. Let's have a look at it. 120 damage usually. That's okay. 76 penetration, it's okay, but some tanks are going to have more than 76 millimeters of armor. Rate of fire, it doesn't. It's all right for a heavy tank, but it takes 2.3 seconds to aim. It's a fairly inaccurate gun. What you really want to do is get to the next gun, which is the 76 millimeter M1A1. Believe it or not, this is the exact same gun that you can upgrade to on the M4 Sherman. So it is a medium tank gun, mounted on a heavy. So it's still not really quite the right gun for this tank, but you're going to have to do with it because there's no more gun upgrades, it's just that gun. So you're going to have to make do with it. It's not a terrible gun, but it's not the greatest gun for this tank, but it's the last gun for this tank, so it's the only gun you're going to get to have. 120 damage, stays the same, gets some more penetration, fires quicker, aiming time stays the same, it's a little more accurate, but not by much. Now, it's a pretty fast heavy, and it really doesn't have trouble reaching the top speed, especially when you get the next engine. When you get the next two engines, your speed stays the same, but your acceleration increases, so it doesn't really take that long to reach your top speed. You can do it really quickly. It's a pretty good tank, but it's a strange one, and it's really interesting, let's just put it that way. You can also buy a new pair of tracks. Gives you 5 more traverse speed. That's nice. Once you've got your second engine, you can either get the last one, or you can go right ahead to the M6. If I were you, I would go right ahead to the M6, because all this does is it does add a little more horsepower, but all that really does is make it easier to accelerate to 35. And it already accelerates so good to 35 with the second engine that you don't really need the third one. It's really just a waste of experience that you could have used on this thing. So you can get it if you want, but I wouldn't advise it. I would just say go straight for the M6. So that was a pretty short review of this tank, but not much to say about it. Just really all I need to say more. Keep your front to the enemy at all times, and waggle your tank when you're moving along. If you know or think the enemy can penetrate you, but you have to move towards them, waggle your armor, because it makes it harder for them to aim for your weak spots, and more likely to bounce. Do angle your armor, but only a little bit, because you don't want to invite too many shots to your side, because it's not a very strong side. Keep your front of your turret usually you just want the front of your turret exposed, or just your turret. So get this tank into solid cover, maybe a sand dune or a mound of dirt that's big enough to cover most of your tank except the turret, so that your hull is down and you can just shoot at them with your turret, and all I have to shoot at is the front of your turret and maybe the periscope or the commander's hatch up here, which is not a very big target. They're both very hard to hit, and so really all they can shoot at is the front of your turret, but that's 102 millimeters. So, let's go on to the replays. So, here we are on Castilia, tier 6 game. At least I think the map's called Castilia, but nonetheless, this is one of those games where you just get that strange feeling that you're going to lose. I mean, the odds may be against the enemy team, or you might have a really good team, but for some reason you just get this feeling you're going to lose. This is one of those games. But it actually turned out pretty good. So, I've been going backwards a few times, because this hill, it just doesn't seem to have a good result, usually for me. But the last times I've been going backwards around to the castle, I haven't been having much luck, so I decided, nah, screw it, I'm going this way. So, I'm going around this way, and we see there's a Panzer. He looks like he's either making a run for the town or coming out to snipe this way. There's also a VK up there, and there's a T-150, and that's when I back up. No, I wasn't, because I didn't expect to see anything there. I didn't have my armor positioned at all. And I'm getting a bit worried about that M4 sneaking up upon me, because he does, if he's fully upgraded, have the same gun as me, which means it can do the same penetration, same damage. He does know I'm there, so I think I do, yep, I do take a hit, but surprisingly, he takes a bigger hit, and he's about gone. He's on 3%. I take another hit, I think he blows off my tracks. Then one of our team, VK, takes him out. I want to get around and try to take shots at this T-150 while he's distracted. So I'm trying not to expose as much as my tank as I can. I actually do some damage. I'm also spotted, and I thought I saw something else coming in front of the T-150. It might have been an enemy making a run for the town. There's the Panzer IV again. T-150 is still not looking this way. Looks like he's got the howitzer. Correct. And he's taking a good amount of damage. He's in pretty low health. That Panzer just will not die. He's still on full health. T-150 is looking the other way. I take a shot at the Panzer. I think I do some damage. I think that was my damage. T-150 is toast. He's on very low health, and he hasn't even taken notice that I'm here. I mean, I am giving a couple bounces, but he dies. Now it's just this Panzer IV, basically, who's on this side. And it looks like the enemy team has rushed for the cap. They're not necessarily capping, but Oh, okay, they're capping now. I was gonna say they were just sitting there, but no, they're capping. So, I think that Panzer IV isn't brave enough to come out, so... Oh, guess I'm wrong. He sees me, shoots. He actually misses. I think I missed too. And I'm keeping the front towards him, and I am waggling my armor to make it harder for him to aim for my weak spots, and works pretty well. Do a big hit, and then see, it took a bounce, so... Frontal armor isn't great, but it's the thickest, and waggling especially works. He turns around, and he's gone. So now, I do take a hit from that guy up there. I didn't even realize he could shoot me from there. So it looks like it's just him who's capping, and then Crusader who's sort of camping near the spawn a little bit. Now, here's one aspect of a T1 Heavy I forgot to mention. It is a heavy tank. So it does have a lot of weight, and it can accelerate and move pretty quick, which, if you haven't guessed it yet, does make a pretty good ramming tank. So, my friends, this is a little something we call ramming speed. So, come barreling down this hill, right into a Crusader who tries to back off, but then he suddenly stops, and I think, okay, I'll take it. I'll take that ramming kill. And we actually won. Now we're on to Middleburg, and this is another Tier 6 game by the look of it. This also happened to be a victory. I can't remember if this is a game I'm thinking of. It didn't look so well when we started, but it actually turned out okay. I'm starting near the town on this side. I'm always torn when I start on this side whether I should go for the town or the hill. I mean, I am in a heavy, so although the hill does see quite a bit of battle, the town does seem a better option because it's got flat ground, so I usually head for the hill because nobody's going in the town, and sometimes I'll go off by myself, but usually I might try going somewhere else because I've learned I really know that it's better for at least one tank to go a certain direction, but at the same time, it's not really fair when you have to die for your enemy team because you were the only one who didn't follow the lemming train. However, 2 tanks of my team have gone into town, and they've met quite a bit of trouble. They are doing fairly well, but I decide they can use all the help they can get. And Crusader's coming with me, that's nice. More support. Oh, quite a few tanks in this town, actually. There's a Panzer III to 4 over there. Doesn't notice me. That VK didn't notice either. I've got pretty good shots at them as long as they don't move too far. I did lower that Panzer III/4's health pretty good. This is a Churchill. Side armor is not very good. Even with the short barrel gun might not be able to do that much to me, but I don't want it pointing my direction because does have a pretty good rate of fire, so if it does penetrate me, it can penetrate me. I don't want to be facing this, but he's not paying attention, he's going forward. The VK over there, however, is paying attention. I take quite a few hits from him because I'm just showing the side of my tank around the corner, which is not a very wise idea, and I think actually all the enemy team, except for maybe 1 or 2, went for the town. Because we went for the hill and then joined into the town, we've actually managed to do a pretty good job. I mean, it's even right now, 3-3, but this guy, I do ram him, see? Once again, good tank for ramming. I mean, let's put it this way. Light tanks, ram them. You can definitely take them out. Medium tanks, yeah, ram them. Tank destroyers, definitely. Heavies. Well, it depends on which heavy you're ramming. I'm not sure if that guy in front of me that I was attacking before I attacked the Churchill was a heavy, but I did a lot of damage, so for most tanks, this is a good rammer. Does excellent damage if you come barreling full speed into another tank. And this is where some good team play comes in. I'm trying to figure out what I'm gonna do to fake this VK out. And then a jolly good old, the other two, or two of the other remaining team members of mine decide to go around the corner and flank him, which is awesome because even if I can't attack him, I can keep him spotted, hopefully. Turns out they actually spotted him. And while he's distracted with them, gives me free shots at his weak armor, which I gladly take. And he's just overwhelmed. Last heavy on his team, last tank on his team. And I do ram him, but he is a heavy, so doesn't do anything. So, important lesson. Don't ram most heavies because you don't do a lot to them. Just keep that in mind. Ram anything but most heavies. So, the T1 Heavy. Pretty good tier 5 heavy tank. And I did find this out late in my T1 Heavy driving career, but makes a great ramming tank. Light tanks, medium tanks, tank destroyers, no problem ramming them. You just don't want to go ramming other heavies with this because it won't work out so well. And because your frontal armor isn't that good, you might end up taking more damage than you able to dish out. In fact, you might be the one taking all the damage. So just before I end this video, I would like to announce that I will still be continuing this series, but I also am going to be restarting my Minecraft series. Not restarting them, but starting them up again. So yes, in the next few days, you should be able to look forward to Minecraft videos. So, see you later, everybody, and I will catch you in another video. Peace out and goodbye.